The desert of Ithra 9 wasn't made of sand but of ground glass, shimmering dunes of powdered crystal that sliced anything unprotected. The wind howled through the canyons like an endless scream, carrying the smell of rust, death, and ozone. Beneath the blood-red sky, a group of soldiers in fractured armor dragged a lone man through the dust. His hands were bound behind his back with magnetic cuffs that sparked against his skin. "Keep moving, traitor," barked the chief warden Goran, his mandibles clicking with each word. "You've got one last favor to do for the Vultures." The prisoner didn't answer. His head was bowed, his black hair matted with dirt and dried blood. A faded emblem on his shoulder plate marked him as Commander Lian Tor, once the most feared human in the Outer Rim until he defied the alien Dominion and destroyed one of their orbital fortresses. Now he was nothing but a condemned man. The soldiers dragged him to the edge of the Shard Basin, a vast pit littered with broken starship parts, bones, and twisted metal. Overhead, flocks of mechanical vultures circled, machines designed to consume organic remains and harvest biological fuel. Goran kicked Lian to his knees. "Any last words, human?" Lian looked up slowly, his eyes dull yet steady. "Yeah," he said hoarsely. "You're making a mistake." The chief sneered. "Mistake? You burned our garrisons, slaughtered my kin, and defied the Dominion itself. You'll beg for the Vultures before this world's done with you." Then, leaning close enough that his breath rattled against Lian's plate, Goran whispered with cruel satisfaction, "Pray the Vultures get to you first." The soldiers laughed, stepping back as Goran raised his rifle to deliver the final shot. But before he could pull the trigger, a new voice came from behind them, low, cold, and hungry. "I always eat first." The sound cut through the storm like a blade. Every soldier froze. Goran turned slowly, his eyes narrowing. From the haze of the desert, a shadow moved. It was humanoid at first glance, but too tall, too fluid. Light rippled across its armor like oil over water. The figure's mask glowed with twin amber slits, and behind it, a segmented tail curved slowly, dripping with venom. A Reaper-class hunter. And not just any, this was Raven, the Dominion's most notorious predator, believed dead 2 years ago. A ghost who hunted ghosts. Goran's throat clicked. "Impossible. You were dead." Raven interrupted, voice like smoke. "That's what I let them believe." Then, turning to Lian, she said, "You didn't think I'd miss your execution, did you?" Middle, the Predator's debt. Chaos erupted. The Reaper moved faster than thought, leaping into the air as plasma rounds sizzled past her. She landed among the soldiers like a falling comet. Her tail snapped forward, piercing a soldier's chest. With one spin, she tore another's weapon from his hand and flung it into Goran's visor. Sparks exploded. Screams followed. Lian rolled out of the way as a bolt of plasma scorched the ground beside him. He felt his cuffs snap. Raven had shot them off mid-battle. "Get up," she barked. "You still owe me a ship." He struggled to his feet. "I thought you hated me." "I do," she said, impaling another soldier without looking. "But I hate unfinished debts more." Within seconds, the desert fell silent again, broken only by the hiss of cooling plasma. The only one left alive was Chief Goran, bleeding from a gash across his face. Raven approached him slowly, crouching to his level. "You should have prayed faster." He spat at her boots. "You're no better than him." She tilted her head. "No. I'm worse." Then she flicked her wrist, and the tail blade finished him in one smooth motion. Lian watched as the vultures above began to descend, drawn by the scent of blood and circuitry. They tore into the corpses, their metal beaks clicking rhythmically. Raven turned away, her armor folding back into a stealth configuration. "Move. We've got minutes before the Dominion's sensors notice the pulse weapons." Lian limped after her, clutching his side. You saved me. Why? She didn't look back. Because you saved me first. He frowned. That was years ago, on Kepler's Moor. You were dying. I remember, she said flatly. You burned half the Dominion fleet to cover my escape. I didn't do it for you. Raven stopped and turned. Then who? He hesitated. For the soldiers under my command. You just happened to be there. She smirked behind the mask. And yet, here we are. You, the human commander turned fugitive. Me, the Dominion's favorite executioner turned outlaw. Strange symmetry. They reached the wreckage of a half-buried scout cruiser jutting from the glass dunes. Raven placed her hand on the hull. It hummed and unlocked. Inside was darkness, warm, humming, alive. Get in, she ordered. Leanne followed, ducking beneath sparking conduits. The air smelled of ozone and oil. The cockpit was lined with alien glyphs and glowing veins of biosteel. Raven sealed the hatch behind them. As the engines rumbled to life, she finally sat across from him. You've been on the run for a long time, haven't you? Leanne exhaled. Long enough to know that the Dominion doesn't forgive. She studied him through the amber lenses. You're not wrong. They put a price on your head big enough to buy a moon. He smirked faintly. And yet, you came. I said I always eat first, she replied. But sometimes, the meal is redemption. Climax, the hunt reversed. They flew through the crystalline storms of Ithra 9, chased by Dominion patrols. Every few minutes, the ship shook under enemy fire. Leanne rerouted power from the shields while Raven piloted with deadly precision. But the Dominion was relentless. This ship won't hold, Leanne warned, gripping the console. We're outnumbered. Raven didn't answer. Her eyes flicked across the sensor display, 3 interceptors closing fast. Then she said, We're not fighting them. What? We're feeding them. She cut the engines. The ship dropped into the upper storm layer, lightning clawing across the glass dunes below. Then, from the dark clouds, a shriek pierced the air, a mechanical one, deep and guttural. Leanne's blood ran cold. What is that? Vulture swarm, Raven said. The Dominion trained them to devour escapees. But I rewired their targeting protocols. As if on command, hundreds of the glass metal vultures dove toward the interceptors. The sky erupted with fire as the hunters became prey. When the explosions faded, Raven reignited the engines and soared through the chaos. That's insane, Leanne muttered, staring at the storm of wings and wreckage behind them. She smiled beneath her mask. You're welcome. Hours later, they landed on the edge of a dead colony, a graveyard of ships and ruins buried under violet sand. The sky above shimmered with auroras of plasma fallout. Raven deactivated her mask, revealing a face both human and alien, pale skin, faintly scaled at the temples, eyes gold as molten metal. Leanne watched her silently. You're not fully Corran. She nodded once. Hybrid. The Dominion bred assassins using human DNA. I was one of them. Then we're both products of their war. She crouched, tracing a symbol in the dust. Maybe. But unlike you, I didn't rebel for honor. I rebelled because they told me to kill children. Leanne's throat tightened. Then you made the right choice. I made a choice, she said softly. Right or wrong doesn't matter. A moment of silence passed before she stood again. There's a supply station 50 clicks east. You can steal a ship there. And you. She turned away.